Weird nature facts. In proportion to body weight, koalas have one of the smallest brains of any mammal. They're so dumb that when presented with leaves on a flat surface instead of on branches, they are unable to recognize them as food and will not eat them. Dogs get sprayed by skunks so often because skunks raise their tails as a warning. Dogs see this as "come smell my butt," which is the exact opposite message of what the skunk is trying to send. In Germany, it is illegal to kill any vertebrate animal without proper reason. Because of this, all German animal shelters are no-kill. In the 1980s, Ken the orangutan escaped from his enclosure at the San Diego Zoo multiple times. His apparent goals were visiting other animals, taking photos with tourists, and throwing rocks at his orangutan rival. At his luxurious estate in Puerto Triunfo, Pablo Escobar put together a private zoo filled with giraffes, hippos, elephants, and other animals. Some of the animals, left abandoned upon Escobar's death, have since thrived and reproduced. It is now estimated that more than 60 hippos roam the surrounding areas, and have even become a local invasive species problem. When anglerfish mate, they melt into each other and share their bodies forever. The deep sea is so vast that when a male finds a female, he must latch on and fuse to her, losing his eyes and internal organs until the two fish share a bloodstream. Photographer Atif Saeed nearly got himself killed in order to capture this photo, which was taken just moments before the lion tried to attack him. He drove up to the lion, sat on the ground next to his car, and left the door open. The door being left open was the only reason he was able to escape unharmed. In case anyone is wondering what happened to the dinosaurs, here's what a baby blue heron looks like. The Bajau people of Southeast Asia are considered sea nomads. They have no homes, money, or nationalities, and they spend 60% of their time underwater. They can go spearfishing at depths greater than 200 feet without scuba gear or oxygen tanks. They've even developed much larger spleens than the average human thanks to evolution. This incredible photo captures the moment an orangutan reached out to help a conservationist who was stuck in a river. It was taken in Malaysia when the man was searching for dangerous snakes in the area to protect the local apes. This extremely rare translucent lobster was caught in the state of Maine. The man who caught it said he threw it back into the ocean because it was too small. Experts say the chances of finding a lobster like this are about 1 in 100 million. Thousands have climbed Mount Everest and 12 men have visited the moon, but only 3 people have ever been to the deepest point in the ocean. While meerkats are adorable, they're also the most murderous species on the planet by far. They've been known to kill members of their own species more frequently than any other animal that's been studied. While it looks like something from Star Wars, the Valais blacknose is a species of domestic sheep found in Switzerland. They're known for their shaggy coats, spiral horns, and pitch-black faces. A Russian helicopter discovered this strange giant crater in Siberian permafrost. Some scientists say it's a new type of sinkhole, but its true origins remain a mystery. There's a species of octopus that cares for her eggs for 53 months without eating, then dies. This is the longest brooding period of any known animal species. Farmers in Botswana have started painting faces on their cows' butts to prevent lions from sneaking up on them. The New Mexico whiptail is a species of lizard that is 100% female. Nicknamed the lesbian lizards, they still mate with each other to stimulate egg growth without transferring genetics. This is an incredible photo of an orangutan using a spear-like item to catch fish. According to many scientists, orangutans are entering their own stone age, meaning they're beginning to discover the use of basic tools. The vision of the pronghorn antelope is comparable to a human wearing wide-angle 10 times power binoculars. In other words, on a clear night, they can see the rings of Saturn. The great patoo is an extremely rare tree-dwelling bird from tropical America. The bird is known for its eerie nocturnal cries and its stump-like appearance, making it a spooky master of disguise. Not to mention, it looks like an alien bird. Found in Sri Lanka, this male adult elephant was the first scientific record of dwarfism in the wild. He measures at just over 5 feet in height. Believe it or not, but crocodiles are more closely related to birds than they are to lizards. The Zolo is an ancient Aztec dog breed native to Mexico. They were once considered to be guide dogs for dead people entering the underworld. This giant rock in Finland has been resting perfectly on a curved surface for over 8,000 years. Sperm whales are the largest toothed predator on the planet but lack teeth in their upper jaw. Instead, they have tooth pockets that encompass the teeth of their lower jaw. The assassin bug wears the corpses of its prey like a backpack. After stabbing its prey and slurping out the innards, the insect uses the corpses as armor and camouflage. A man from Kerala, India set a Guinness World Record by putting 60,000 bees on his face for more than 4 hours. He says bees are his best friends and will only sting him if he treats them improperly. In order to tell whether a female is ready to mate, male giraffes will drink their urine. Sand tiger shark embryos fight to the death in their mother's womb and only the strongest survive. DNA testing revealed that this is due to embryos from different fathers competing to be born. Snails' teeth are the strongest known biological material on the planet. They're stronger than spider silk and can withstand pressure high enough to turn carbon into diamonds. According to a new study, fish eggs can survive and hatch after passing through a duck. This provides one explanation as to how completely isolated bodies of water can become stocked with fish. Dolphins love interacting with pregnant women because they communicate using ultrasound. Not only can they hear the mother's heartbeat, but also the baby's, and they find this very fascinating. For more than 20 years, a dolphin named Pelorus Jack regularly guided ships through treacherous waters until his disappearance in 1912. A man from Argentina posted this photo of a giant mosquito called a galley-nipper that his mother killed in her home. While its bite can be very painful, it's not nearly as dangerous as the smaller mosquito, which can transmit yellow fever and Zika virus. Naka Cave in Thailand closely resembles a giant petrified snake. The average silverback gorilla is 4 to 9 times stronger than the average human male. They can deadlift 1,800 pounds and their grip can crush the skull of a crocodile. Coconut crabs have a great sense of smell and will travel in packs to find food. They'll eat virtually anything and are basically the raccoons of the Indo-Pacific Islands. A Kansas homeowner turned on his sprinklers before leaving to escape a wildfire. He returned to find his home completely intact while everything around it had burnt to the ground. In the 1950s, a family from Texas had a pet lion named Blondie. They never had a single incident with her and she died of old age as a beloved member of the family. A Colombian woman was raised by monkeys after being kidnapped and abandoned in the jungle as a child. She spent 5 years living with a colony of capuchin monkeys before being rescued by hunters. When she was found, she didn't know how to cooperate with other humans. Zookeepers in Argentina were quite shocked to find that Pelusa the polar bear had suddenly turned purple. But it turned out to simply be a reaction to the dermatitis medication she was taking, and she quickly became the biggest attraction at the zoo. Rainbow lattice sunstone is an extremely rare gemstone that occurs naturally. It can only be found in one tiny patch of desert in northern Australia. This chick was born with a genetic deformity that gave it 4 legs. If a flatworm's head is cut off, not only will it grow a new head and brain, but the new brain will contain all of the memories of the old brain. Sharks have survived 4 out of the 5 mass extinction events and have been around for more than 400 million years. This means they're older than Mount Everest, older than dinosaurs, and even older than trees. If you were to swim near a pod of narwhals and happen to hear one whistle, it might be the last thing that you ever heard. The sounds that narwhals make are so loud that they're said to be deafening to humans. Visiting the island of Socotra in Yemen can seem like you're on another planet. More than 30% of the plant life on the island isn't found anywhere else on Earth. Villagers along the Niger River in Zimbabwe were losing cows and people at such an alarming rate that they had to call in the National Army. The culprit? A 22-foot, 2,500-pound monster crocodile. This isn't what you think it is. This is the carnivorous pitcher plant from the genus Nepenthes. The top acts as a lid for the lower pitcher structure, which traps and drowns insects in a syrupy fluid. Real classy, Mother Nature. This is a bull born without the protein myostatin, allowing for unrestricted muscle growth. In 2010, there was a massive flood in Pakistan that forced millions of spiders to climb up trees and build webs to avoid the rising waters. People claim that if you happen to stand under any of these trees, hundreds of tiny little spiders would fall all over your body. A group of blue dogs was recently spotted in Russia near an abandoned chemical factory. It's believed they were exposed to chemicals used to make plexiglass, but doctors say they appear to be in good health. Despite its reputation for spiders, nobody has died from a confirmed spider bite in Australia since 1979. But many deaths have occurred due to people being surprised by them, such as while driving. When mating, flatworms engage in violent penis fencing to determine who will be the father. The winner who stabs the other with its pecker remains a male while the other becomes a female. Immediately after banging, a female praying mantis will rotate her head 180 degrees and eat the head of the male. Therefore, the male has an extra brain in its rear, so it can continue mating without a head. In 2005, an Ethiopian girl was being brutally beaten by 7 men when a pride of lions chased them away. They even stayed with her until help arrived. Some experts say the lions might have spared the girl because her crying sounded like the meowing of lion cubs. Other experts suggest that they were just getting ready to eat her when authorities arrived. About 400 million years ago, before trees dominated the landscape, the earth was covered with giant mushrooms. In 1986, an Indian man set a world record by spending 72 hours in a cage with 72 of the world's most venomous snakes. He was seeking to spread awareness that snakes don't bite unless provoked. He came out of the cage unharmed without a single bite. A rare golden possum was found in Australia and named Pikachu for obvious reasons. Its golden yellow fur is the result of a genetic mutation that affects the possum's melanin production. This picture shows invasive coyotes meeting reintroduced wolves for the first time at Yellowstone National Park. In 1997, tree hugger Julia Hill started living in a 1,500-year-old California redwood tree to prevent loggers from cutting it down. She ended up staying there for a total of 738 days, and the tree still stands to this day. It's estimated that about 300,000 years ago, 9 different species of human walked the earth. By 10,000 years ago, all of them had been wiped out due to the rise of a new species, Homo sapien. Baby owls have to sleep face down because their heads are too heavy to hold up. Great Percheron horses are born black and slowly turn white. This is the same stallion over a 12-year span. The Dong Tao chicken, aka the dragon chicken, is an extremely rare breed that only exists in Dong Tao, Vietnam. Oysters produce pearls as a defense mechanism. When a parasite gets stuck in their bodies, they ease the pain by coating it in a substance called nacre. Layer upon layer of this fluid is deposited until a shiny pearl is formed. Stepan the brown bear was found weak and alone in the woods when he was just 3 months old. But a Russian couple nursed him back to health, and now 25 years later, he still lives with them in their Moscow home. The couple says the 7-foot-tall bear loves people and has never shown signs of aggression. Temperatures get so cold in the winters in Finland that the frost and snow on the trees can make the landscape look like another planet. Both tanks in this photo are filled with water from the same source, but the tank on the right has oysters in it. A single adult oyster can filter as much as 50 gallons of water per day. Researchers have found that cockroach milk can be 4 times as nutritious as cow's milk. They claim that it's a superfood that can act as a fantastic supplement for protein. Scientists believe that it can help in feeding our growing population in the future. The largest organism in the world is a giant mushroom in Oregon's Malheur National Forest. Its root system is the size of 1,500 football fields, and it might be as much as 8,000 years old. The Costa Rican glass frog has transparent skin, allowing you to see its organ structure. A bite from the Brazilian wandering spider can cause men to have an erection lasting longer than 4 hours. There have been no recorded fatal attacks of wild orcas on humans. In 2005, a 12-year-old boy in Alaska was bumped by a killer whale while splashing in 4 feet of water. The boy was likely mistaken for a seal, and the bump was an aborted attack once the whale realized its mistake. All 4 times that humans have been killed by orcas were in captivity. In the 1930s, a couple of married scientists conducted an experiment in which a chimpanzee named Gua was raised alongside their infant son Donald. For 9 months, they were raised as brother and sister as the parents recorded their development. While Gua learned many of the human behaviors before Donald, the experiment was stopped abruptly because Donald started behaving more like a chimp. If you jangle your keys at a moth that has ears, it will do a backflip. This is an adaptation to the echolocation of bats, which is a high-pitched noise. The moth will drop out of the air and pretend that it's dead to avoid being eaten by a bat. The deep-water blobfish actually looks like a normal fish when it's in its natural habitat. It only looks ugly and bloated after undergoing extreme depressurization when fishermen try to reel it in. A man from South Africa adopted a hippo after it was rescued from a river. 5 years later, the hippo dragged him into the same river and mauled him to death. Armed with giant canine teeth, hippos kill more people each year than lions, elephants, leopards, buffalo, and rhinos combined. They can run at speeds up to 30 miles per hour despite weighing up to 4,000 pounds. So yeah, don't get a pet hippo. Point Nemo is officially known as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, aka the point in the ocean that is farthest away from land. It is surrounded by more than 1,000 miles of ocean in every direction. At any given time, the closest humans to this point are most likely to be astronauts. In 1989, a Costa Rican fisherman named Chito rescued a dying crocodile and nursed it back to health. He tried to release the croc back into the wild, but it just kept coming back. The two would eventually become best friends, and for the next 2 decades, Chito would swim and play with the croc in the river outside of his home. He would hug and kiss the 16-foot-long crocodile he named Pocho, and taught it many tricks. Pocho knew how to roll over, wink, and would let Chito put his head in his mouth. The monster croc even responded when his name was called. Pocho sadly died in 2011, but this amazing crocodile-human relationship will never be forgotten. The harpy eagle is considered to be the largest and most powerful bird in the rainforest. Its rear talons can grow up to 4 inches long, about the same size as a grizzly bear's claws. It's certainly no mistake that this majestic bird is literally named after a mythological monster. This is what a baby swordfish looks like on someone's fingertip. This little guy will grow to be over 1,000 pounds one day. Calathris archeri, aka the devil's fingers, might look like a creature with tentacles upon first glance, but it's actually a fungus. It is also known as the octopus stinkhorn because it smells of rotting flesh. In its early stages, it looks like an alien emerging out of a pod, and many people have mistakenly reported it as such. These giant stick insects known as tree lobsters were thought to be wiped out by rats in 1920. But in 2001, 24 of them were found in a small bush on an island called Ball's Pyramid. No one knows how they got there, but they were the last known survivors of the species until scientists started breeding them. 44 years ago today was the first and only time that snow was recorded in Miami, Florida. Sea urchins sometimes cover themselves with rocks for protection, so if you give them tiny hats, they'll wear them. In the 1930s, a flute player had a pet lyrebird that mimicked his music. Eventually, he released the bird into the wild. But fragments of the flute player's music were passed down by generations of lyrebirds and are still present in their songs today. This manta ray caught off the coast of New Jersey in 1933 was one of the largest ever caught. It weighed over 5,000 pounds and had a wingspan more than 20 feet wide. Cats have contributed to the extinction of at least 63 global vertebrate species. They are often considered one of the most environmentally damaging invasive predators on the planet. In the ideal environment, 2 rats can turn into 482 million rats over a span of just 3 years. The orca whale who starred in Free Willy was released back into the wild in 2002 after being in captivity for 23 years. A few weeks after his release, he showed up at a Norwegian beach in hopes of seeking human contact. He would even give rides to children on his back. Scientists who first discovered the platypus thought it was fake. They assumed that an egg-laying, duck-billed venomous mammal with the tail of a beaver had to be an elaborate hoax. Standing at 380 feet tall, Hyperion is the largest known living tree in the world. Located somewhere in California, its exact location is kept a secret to protect it from vandals. A Japanese zoo once tried to mate a pair of hyenas for 4 years before realizing that they were both males. This resilient tree had all of its soil washed away but still refused to die. These are some examples of animals that are bilateral gynandromorphs. It's a genetic mutation that causes one of their first cells to be male and the other to be female. The result is an extraordinary animal that's male on one side and female on the other. This is a snapping turtle buried in mud just after emerging from hibernation. This is where the Native American legend of the earth being brought into existence and carried on the shell of a turtle originated from. Alligators have been a long-running problem for NASA, as there have been multiple incidents of alligators climbing over NASA's fences and entering buildings overnight. Dolphins can identify humans by checking our skeletal structure through their sonar. They have been known to help shipwreck victims fight off sharks and stay afloat, because as mammals, they understand the concept of drowning. Wildlife officials highly advise against feeding a wild moose. This is because if you feed a moose, it might become aggressive and attack the next person it encounters if they have no food to offer. The colors on a toucan's beak remain unchanged for many years after the bird's death. A little girl in Seattle became friends with a group of crows that she feeds in exchange for gifts. The items they bring her are typically shiny and have included pieces of glass, buttons, and even lost jewelry. This is one of the first cases of wild birds displaying gift-giving behavior to humans. This is a photo of an alligator snapping turtle hibernating under a sheet of ice. Many turtles can survive this way by breathing in water through their butthole and diffusing the oxygen. Magnolia plants are so ancient that they're pollinated by beetles because they existed before bees even appeared. When eaten, the sarpasalpa can cause severe hallucinations lasting up to 36 hours. During the Roman Empire, the fish was commonly used as a party drug. Many cows have best friends and can become very stressed when they're separated from each other. Due to fresh water being so scarce on the Galapagos Islands, some bird species have adapted by drinking the blood of other animals. If a female fox dies, her mate will stay single forever. But if a male fox dies, his widow will search for a new mate immediately. This is why you should never touch a tree branch in Australia. The wraparound spider can flatten and wrap its body around tree limbs for perfect camouflage. The same whale was found and photographed after 35 years off the western coast of Mexico. The Atlas moth scares off predators by imitating the appearance and behavior of a snake. The moth will often fall to the ground when threatened and flap around to look like a writhing cobra. The loudest sound ever heard on Earth was the eruption of Krakatoa in 1883. The explosion had a nuclear yield 13,000 times greater than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It ruptured the eardrums of sailors 40 miles away, and people as far as 3,000 miles away reported hearing it as a distant roar of heavy guns. To put that into perspective, it would be like sitting in Boston and hearing a sound that came all the way from Ireland. It was one of the most destructive volcanic eruptions in history, since at least 35,000 people died and the global temperature was lowered by 2 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 years. Some species of tarantulas keep tiny frogs as pets. The frog is protected from predators, and in return, the tarantula's burrow is protected from pests that are too small for the spider to deal with. Cats were likely domesticated by humans through the same process. Farmers who own ostrich farms often struggle with breeding. This is because ostriches are sometimes more attracted to humans than other ostriches. Cheetahs are so closely related that you can freely transplant organs between each member of the species without immunosuppression. In 1970, Fraser the lion was adopted by a safari in Florida at the age of 18, which is the human equivalent to the age of 80. He was blind, toothless, and could barely walk, but was still responsible for the births of 35 cubs at the park. There's a tribe in India that has learned how to train the roots of fig trees to create natural suspension bridges. These bridges can span over 100 feet and last up to 600 years. After colliding with a propeller, this loggerhead sea turtle received a 3D printed titanium jaw. The lobster has changed very little over the last 100 million years and is known for its unusual anatomy. Its brain is located in its throat, its teeth are in its stomach, and its kidneys are in its head. It also hears using its legs and tastes with its feet. The red-crested tree rat is a species of rodent that was thought to be extinct for over 100 years. But in 2011, one appeared outside of an ecological in Colombia and let researchers photograph it for 2 hours. It then disappeared into the night, never to be seen again. In September of 2001, thousands of residents reported blood rain falling over the state of Kerala, India. While there are many theories including extraterrestrial origins, scientists are still not certain as to where it came from. Last year, the world's only known pink manta ray was found in the Great Barrier Reef. The diver was so amazed at first that he thought his camera was broken. In 2016, a swarm of 20,000 bees chased a car for 2 days because their queen got stuck inside. Avocados never ripen on the tree, so farmers can use trees as storage and keep avocados fresh for up to 7 months. Shrek the sheep ran away from his owner in 1998 to avoid being sheared. 6 years later, he was found living in a cave with enough wool to produce 20 men's suits. The short-faced bear was once the most abundant bear in all of North America, until it went extinct around 11,000 BC. Some scientists argue that these massive bears delayed human migration into North America because they kept killing men trying to cross the Bering Strait. The Gu Lagoon. This is an underwater river in Mexico's Cenote Angelita. The different densities of the two waters cause them to form in layers. The black swallower is a deep-sea fish that can swallow animals more than 10 times its own mass, thanks to its expansive stomach. This 7-inch swallower was found dead after it swallowed and failed to digest a 34-inch mackerel. While it may look edited, this is just a photo of the giant African land snail. While often considered to be an invasive species, they can be kept as pets. They can live for several years and can grow up to 8 inches long. Photographer Herbert van der Beek captured this extremely rare moment of a jaguar diving underwater to catch its prey. Leoconcha hieroglyphica is a mollusk that received its name because it looks like it's covered in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Only discovered in 1976, the megamouth shark is an extremely rare species of deep water shark. Less than 100 of them have ever been seen or caught. Although they look nothing alike, the stunningly iridescent Nicobar pigeon is the closest living relative to the extinct dodo bird. A man in Washington state found a caterpillar that looks like it has the image of a human face on its back. The internet is pretty sure it was the reincarnation of Edgar Allan Poe. Otters in the Amazon are apex predators that can grow up to 6 feet long. They have been known to prey on small anacondas and caimans when fish are unavailable. The giant groundsel is a prehistoric plant that is only found on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. For years, scientists didn't know what created various massive cave networks in South America. In 2010, they learned that the caves were actually tunnels dug by ancient giant ground sloths. There's an area in Venezuela where lightning strikes 280 times per hour, 160 nights per year. It's called Relámpago del Catatumbo, aka the Everlasting Storm. The Indo-Hyas was a deer-like land mammal that was about the size of a raccoon. It's also the earliest known ancestor of the whale. This is how koalas are weighed, and it might just be the most adorable thing ever. While grizzly bears are large and terrifying, their size doesn't even compare to a polar bear's. When the sun is directly overhead, the landscape looks like a bad rendering of a video game. It's known as the subsolar point. A woman from Australia was awarded by PETA after rehabilitating a huntsman spider that only had 2 of its legs left. She fed it water and small cockroaches for a month until it grew all of its legs back. Archaeologists have discovered dwarf crocodiles living in remote caves in the African country of Gabon. After living in complete darkness, their skin has turned orange and they are nearly blind. These weird cave crocodiles may be in the process of evolving into an entirely new species. In the town of Churchill, Manitoba, it is deemed common courtesy to keep your car doors unlocked. This is so that townspeople can have a quick escape if they ever come across a wild polar bear. In 2007, a giant bowhead whale was caught off the coast of Alaska with an old harpoon point embedded in its neck. Further examination revealed that the fragment dated back to the year 1880, indicating that the whale had survived a human attack that took place over a century ago. This also proved to scientists that bowhead whales are the longest living mammals in the world. The platypus has no nipples. Instead, milk simply oozes from the mother's skin. In 2019, scientists were baffled when a 36-foot humpback whale was found in the Amazon rainforest. While a few theories have been put forth, wildlife experts are still scratching their heads as to how it got there. This absolute unit of a mountain lion was captured on a trail cam in Alberta, Canada. Despite being the largest mammal in the history of the world, blue whales do not have large buttholes. Instead, they defecate with an anus the size of a grapefruit. When caterpillars go into their chrysalis, they turn into a soupy liquid. However, as a moth or a butterfly, they can still remember their life as a caterpillar. A calf with 3 eyes was recently born in Wales. The vet who took the picture said she'd never seen anything like it before. In 1986, a 5-year-old boy fell into a gorilla enclosure at the Jersey Zoo and lost consciousness. But a male gorilla named Jumbo stood between the boy and the other gorillas in a protective gesture. He even stroked the boy's back to comfort him until he was rescued. This incident helped create a positive public perception of gorillas. Costing $39 million per gallon, scorpion venom is the most expensive liquid in the world. A species of wild mountain goat called the picardo went extinct in the year 2000, but cells from the last animal were frozen in liquid nitrogen and scientists were able to clone it. This made the picardo the first species of animal to become de-extinct. Sadly, the clone died only 7 minutes after being born, also making it the only species to go extinct twice. Scientists believe that a function of zebra stripes is to deter insects. So researchers painted stripes on several cows and discovered that it reduced the number of bug bites by more than 50%. The Costa Rican glass frog has transparent skin, enabling you to see its entire organ structure. Dragonflies are nature's deadliest predators when it comes to catching prey. They catch more than 95% of the prey they target, making them 4 times as successful as the king of the jungle. Octopus truly are nature's aliens. They have 3 hearts, 9 brains, and blue blood. Koalas sleep for 22 hours a day. The rest of their time is spent eating and wandering around aimlessly looking for a mate. When they don't find one, they give up and go back to sleep without a care in the world. These are what the vestigial limbs of a beluga whale look like. When sailors first explored the Arctic waters, they understandably mistook beluga whales for real-life mermaids. These are what the muscles look like on a fully grown male Siberian tiger. This rare orchid, known as the flower of the Holy Spirit, only blooms once per year. It looks like a group of praying saints before blooming, but once it blooms, it turns into a flying dove. Horseshoe crabs have been around for 450 million years and have blue blood. Instead of hemoglobin, their blood contains hemocyanin, which gets its blue color from oxygenated copper. Their blood is so valuable to the medical industry that a gallon costs around $60,000. The sting of the tarantula hawk wasp is so unbearable that victims are often advised to lie down and start screaming to avoid further injury. In 2018, Russian scientists collected and analyzed 300 prehistoric worms from Arctic permafrost. After being thawed, 2 of the worms began to move and eat. Both of the worms are estimated to be well over 30,000 years old. The blue American rabbit was developed in 1917 by Lewis H. Salisbury. Although it's natural, he never revealed what breeds he used to create this variety. In 1998, Honduras built a bridge over the Choluteca River, but the water was rerouted by Hurricane Mitch that same year. This mutated octopus with 85 tentacles was captured on an island near Japan. Known for its protrusible jaw and nail-like teeth, the goblin shark has only been seen about 50 times since its discovery in 1897. In 1493, Christopher Columbus mistook manatees for mermaids and wrote, "They're not so beautiful as they're said to be, since their faces have some masculine traits."